Hello YouTube, welcome back. Chris here. Today we are going to go through a Wahoo Kickr unboxing and setup. Here we go. Brand new in the box, Wahoo Kickr Smart Trainer. Now the reason I'm doing this video, I sell a lot of these trainers. They're becoming more and more popular over the years. And a very common question in the bike shop is, how do I put my bike on this thing? So we're going to open it up here, show it to you, and we'll show you how to set it up for your bike. Actually quite a heavy device. Mostly because of the flywheel. So here it is. This is the latest version of the Wahoo Kickr trainer. This is their top of the line trainer, excluding of course the Wahoo bike. This is a wheel off trainer, so you remove your rear wheel of your bike and put it on here. They've made a few improvements over your previous generation of Wahoo Kickr, mostly in the base. Nice wide legs, better feet on this, super stable trainer. All these legs on the Kickr version do fold in, which is very handy because it is quite a heavy trainer. They give you this nice lifting handle right here. Because of that big heavy flywheel, this guy has to weigh 30-40 pounds. It's a very heavy trainer. So here we're going to show you how to set this up for your individual bike. There are lots of different configurations you can do with this. We're going to show you the most common ones. As it comes out of the box, it comes with a Sunrace 11-speed cassette, which is great for most people if you're running any sort of SRAM or Shimano or microshift 11-speed setup. This will be perfectly good. You just throw your bike on there and you're ready to go. If you have anything different than that, you're going to want to change this out. So if you got 10-speed, 9-speed, 8-speed, 12-speed, whatever it may be, you're going to have to make some changes here, and I'm going to show you how to do that here. The trainer also comes set up for quick release. Quick release, as a standard, is kind of dying in the road bike world and the gravel bike world. So most people are going to be switching to a through axle on here, and I'll show you how to do that as well. But it does come with a quick release setup on there. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to switch out that cassette and take it off. If you're buying a Kickr Core, which is a step down from this model, it comes with no cassette. So you are going to know how to put a cassette on the trainer or have someone do it for you. So let's get started taking off the cassette and putting it back on. All right, so the first thing you're going to need to do if you're going to remove this cassette is to take out the quick release. Just like a standard bike quick release, you just hold one side and unthread the other until it comes off. Pull your springs out, and that's off. Next thing you're going to do, you're going to need a chain whip, just like removing any other cassette. Chain whip's going to wrap around the cassette to hold it in place. And then you're going to need some variation of a Shimano or Park or some variation of a cassette lock ring tool. I have a Park tool FR 5.2 here that will work, or any FR5 variation will work on this. I actually have this really handy one here, a Shimano one from BBB with the handle already built in. So we're going to use that because it's all one piece. and works really well. We're going to hold it in place with our chain lid and take the cassette off with our tool. Because this is vertical, unlike a wheel, when you're taking a cassette off where you can lay it flat, you got to be careful because it will all kind of fall out of place like this. After you take that lock ring off, the cassette just slides right off. So like I said, this comes with an 11-speed cassette. Great for most people, but if you have an older bike or a different variation, you may need to change that out. Also worth noting, Wahoo does include a spacer for 9 or 10 speed. So if you have a lower speed cassette, you're going to put that on first before you put your cassette on so it locks down tight. I'm just going to put this 11 speed back on here, show you how that works. It works the same no matter what kind of cassette you're putting on. They all go on the same way. When you're putting on one of these cassettes, they have all these different splines on here. One of them is just a little bit smaller. That's the one you need to line up. So when you have your cassette, you're just going to find the smallest notch and put that on the smallest spline. You're going to do that for every ring of the cassette. It's kind of hard to put it all on at once because it is vertical like this, not laying down like a wheel will do. Whoops, got that one backwards. And then you're just going to put all the rings on, making sure you have all the spacers in the right places. And there you go until they're all on. The last ring you may have to hold because it's not locked down yet. You'll take your lock ring after that and get it started threading in. Cassette lock ring torque spec is generally, for the most part, 40 Newton meters. Do not have a torque wrench handy right now, or I would do that for you, but that's okay. This is just for demonstration purposes. So that's how you put the cassette back on. You should also note when the cassette is on, you want to kind of wiggle it just to make sure everything's tight and there's no gap, because if you don't have a spacer in there, or if it's too not locked down right, it'll have a wiggle to it, and you want to make sure there's no play in that cassette. After you get your cassette set up, the next step you're going to want to do is to adjust the base for your wheel size. Now these come shipped at a road 24-inch wheel, which for most people is probably not going to be what you want. They do that because it makes the trainer the lowest and the smallest so that it ships easier. But you're going to turn this knob until this pulls all the way out. And it is kind of a hard action, but you then pull up on the trainer to get it where you need it. Now on this you have a Mountain 24 or Road 650, Mountain 26 or Road 700, Mountain 650, and Mountain 29. So if you're doing a Road 700, which is what most people do on one of these, you're going to line that up with the corresponding hole, dial that in, and this is ready to go. So next I want to talk about the different ways you can set this up with different bikes. This is how it came set up, minus the quick release. I already took that out, but I want to show you all the different variations. So it's set up for quick release right now, and I should be more specific. It comes set up for a 135 millimeter spaced quick release. And so it comes with two pieces of hardware. This guy here and this guy here. This little piece that goes on the drive side is going to be the same for all quick releases. That just kind of slides in and it's ready for quick release. This piece here has two different options on it. You can see M135 and R130. So depending on the rear spacing of your bike, you either use the 135 side or the 130 side. Much more common to have 135. So the majority of people out there are going to use that 135, but on older road bikes, you could definitely use that 130. Once you've got everything set to the appropriate setup, that's when you're going to take your quick release, slide it through, making sure your springs are on there correctly. I did a video on the proper way to put a quick release skewer in for a trainer. I'll link it here if you're curious on that for a wheel-on trainer. And this is ready to put a bike on for 135 quick release setup. Now let's talk about through axle. A lot of people out there now are using through axle, if not the majority. So if we're going to switch to a through axle setup, we take our quick release out completely, and we're not going to use it, obviously. We'll pull out both pieces of the quick release hardware, and then we're going to use these guys. These are provided with the trainer. This one, pretty simple, it's just a cap that goes on the drive side, just like that. This one here, just like our quick release piece, has two different numbers on it. You got a 142 and a 148. So depending on the rear spacing on your bike, you're either going to have the 142 out or the 148 out. Most through axle bikes are going to be 142, so you're going to have that side sticking out. But it is important to check your bike spec to know what the rear spacing is on your bike before you set this up. So now I'm going to show you how to put an actual bike on this trainer. The bike I'm going to use to demonstrate is a quick release bike. Through axle bike is essentially the same thing, just minus the quick release and with the setup that I showed you earlier. So what we're going to do to start, my quick release hardware, again this little piece here on the drive side, I'm using a 135 spaced rear, so I'm going to have that side facing out on the non-drive. I'm going to take my quick release skewer, slide it through the hardware, and then we can put our bike on it. I always like to shift the bike into the highest gear before I do this, so I know right where to set it on the cassette. And I'm just going to slide the dropouts down onto the hardware there, getting it in place, and then just like putting a wheel on a bike, I'm going to tighten the bike into the trainer. Now if you're putting a bike on the trainer that has hydraulic disc brakes, you're going to want to put a brake block in the brake caliper. Wahoo does provide a very basic Shimano brake block. You can tell it's Shimano by having these in the middle where it will grab the little pin that goes to the middle of the top. This particular bike has SRAM, so I have a SRAM brake block here. This was not provided with the trainer. If you have a brake other than Shimano, you will likely need to source that yourself. Very important to have that in there because otherwise, if you pull your hydraulic disc brake, those pistons will collapse in, they won't kick back out, and you'll have to take everything out and spread it apart at the end, which is not necessarily an easy task for a lot of people. So definitely want to have a brake block in there so you can pull the brakes and not have to worry about locking anything up there. Well, that's all for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them below. Happy to answer them. And we will see you next time.